Hi, I'm Thom Ruhe of the Kauffman Foundation, and welcome to Top of Mind, where we are on location at the Inc. 500 conference. So one of the great things about being on location at a place like Inc. is the incredible people you get to meet. I'm here today. I have the privilege actually to be here with Blake Hall. He is founder of TroopSwap. I have to tell you, he stopped me in my tracks when he said what the concept was for this. You know, we've been a proud sponsor of Inc. for several years now. And one of the things in the last several years that Inc. has started focusing on, and it certainly is an interest of the Kauffman Foundation, is veterans. You know, and taking care of those people that take care of us. And, you know, they're oftentimes forgotten. Some companies want to figure that out and help in a certain way. And Blake, you told me what the story of your company was, and I just thought it's the most brilliant thing I've heard in this space.
Thanks.
So I was hoping we could get you on camera for a second and you could share your story.
Yeah.
Why don't we start first with, tell us about TroopSwap.
Absolutely. So I grew up in a military family. Decided that I wanted to serve. I knew that it probably wouldn't be a career for me, but my grandfather was a command sergeant major, dad was a Army colonel, grew up on bases, and thought that I needed to serve in order to appreciate what we enjoy here in America.
Truth in that.
Volunteered in 2000, joined ROTC at Vanderbilt University. 9/11 happened.
People louder.
Yeah, 9/11 happened, decided that I wanted to be an airborne ranger, and ultimately ended up leading a platoon of scouts and snipers in Iraq for 15 months. When I got out, was fortunate enough to have a commander who refused to write me a letter of recommendation unless I applied to Harvard Business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that was his way of positive affirmation there.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to hear you use words like brilliant and incredible, because those were not the adjectives I associated with myself at that time. I told him, sir, I was like, I haven't used a 3-syllable word in the last month. I don't know if it's the right time to write an application essay for Harvard. But he's like a second dad to me. He pushed me. Ended up at HBS, met another ranger, and we noticed that there were a lot of military and veteran programs being delivered through brick and mortar outlets, but you didn't see them being delivered online. And we started an academic field study our second year to figure out why is that the case. And discovered that if you're a brand looking to deliver a defined set of benefits to a particular group, in this case the military, the first thing that you need to be able to do is verify that a user on your site is in fact a service member or a veteran in order to deliver that discount or benefit without fear of fraud.
Let me interrupt you there for a second, because I think viewers might not understand why that's a problem.
Yeah.
Why don't you start by or at least tell us what problem are you solving there?
Right. Well, I think if you think about education and employment are two particular verticals where there's a lot of goodwill to help veterans who are transitioning from service into the private sector, and they've got incredible intangible skills. They've typically been given outsized responsibility in terms of the amount of value of equipment they're responsible for, the men that they're leading. But when it comes time to interact with an HR manager, very difficult to translate your skills into things that HR manager will understand is relevant to a function for their department.
Right.
They're really interesting. For younger veterans, you've got a much higher unemployment rate than the non-veteran population.
Oh, it's I think what, double?
It's double.
And
right?
How unconscionable is that, right?
Absolutely.
As a nation.
But here's the really powerful thing. The aggregate veteran unemployment rate is 6.6%. It's almost a full 1.5 below the non-veteran population. So what that tells me is when veterans get into the workforce, they are retained at higher rates than non-veterans. The problem is helping them cross that pathway. They're also almost 2 times more likely to become entrepreneurs. And
I'm glad you brought that up, okay? Because as we were talking earlier, I mentioned, I myself had the privilege to wear the uniform, and I have to tell you, I think it was one of the best things that prepared me for being an entrepreneur. Can you share, from your perspective and the experience that you had serving in the military, how applicable are those skills to you in running this company that you now run?
I think if you think about Iraq, for instance, when we're given a mission, right? And the commander who gives me that mission doesn't tell me how to do my job. He said, this is my intent. I want you to accomplish X with your group of guys. And we had a full spectrum of missions, everything from rebuilding communities to capturing high-value targets, typically vehicle bomb networks. So when you think about
low-stress things.
Yeah, low-stress things. And you're doing it in an environment where people are shooting at you.
Right.
So you have to be able to react to unexpected developments and still lead a group to accomplish a mission. I think entrepreneurship is largely the same thing. You're not getting shot at, but you certainly have to worry about financial death all the time.
Right.
You've convinced people to follow you, typically to leave jobs and to follow your vision, and you've got to keep them inspired towards that same goal.
Esprit de corps, right?
Absolutely. And so I think that, just in the same way we were always surrounded by uncertainty when we were on a patrol, where we knew the direction that we were headed in and what we had to do, but we didn't know the route we would have to take and the things we'd have to overcome to get there. I think that prepared me better for entrepreneurship more than anything else. And more importantly, it gave me confidence. There is nothing like going through Ranger School or getting shot at to let you understand what your limitations are, what your strengths and your weaknesses are.
Right.
And I think that...
That's your medal.
Oh, absolutely. So as a leader, when you understand what your strengths are and where you're weak, you can build a team of people around you who are smart where you're dumb, and really have a powerful group that makes the sum better.
So, Blake, you were sharing with me that TroopSwap started in 2010, is it?
That's right.
So, tell us where you are now and what that journey was from 2010 to the present.
Absolutely. So very excited. We're launching an application called TroopID that allows our partner brands to verify military and veteran identity online in order to recognize service. And it's so powerful for a number of different reasons, right? One, the brand can now deliver a military discount without fear of fraud. So, one of our early partners like Under Armour already gives 15% off to military and veterans in store because they think it's the right thing to do. Now for the first time, they'll be able to do that through their digital channel for service members who might be stationed overseas, for veterans who are eligible but don't have an ID card that they can carry around to verify their identity. We think that's really powerful. But beyond discounts, one of the most powerful things that happened early on as we were developing this technology, a marketing manager from Microsoft pulled me aside at an event and said, love the verification piece that you've built. If we had that for Microsoft.com, she goes, I'm sure that our stakeholders would be interested in delivering the military and veteran discounts through our digital channel. But she goes, you might not know that we have an initiative that does free IT certification and skill training for veterans.
Do they really?
Right. And right now they
That's
require...
incredibly valuable.
Oh, it's amazing. And so they require the veteran to go to a Department of Labor office with a DD-214, which is your separation document to verify service. Even for a guy like me who lives in DC, that's going to be a 2 or 3 hour trip.
Right.
If you live 4 or 5 hours away from a DOL office, that's going to be a much longer journey. But with our technology, we can authenticate that status in a matter of seconds, and you can be up and running and taking this online course for free within 3 or 4 minutes of the initial touch point with the program.
That's what really hooked me when you started telling me about this, because that's the proverbial win-win-win,
Yep.
right? You have forward-thinking brands like Under Armour, like Microsoft, that genuinely want to give back to those that have served the country. Those people have earned those kinds of advantages, and we need to figure out a smart way to get it to them.
Yep.
So I think it's just brilliant that you've really, I think, identified a problem in the
Thanks.
market. I mean, this is the entrepreneurial way, right?
Yeah.
So where do you see going from this point forward? What's the big push in the market, and where do you see the biggest opportunity for TroopSwap?
Yeah, so I think the next level, if you think about what we do, so we've built technology that allows brands to verify military and veteran identity, right? And at a conceptual level, that's fine, but at a broader, more emotional level, we're letting veterans and service members know that the general public cares about their service. And even though they weren't asked to do war bonds to support the effort, the level of goodwill for the group of Americans, less than 1% at any given time, who have put on the uniform, gone into harm's way, is so powerful that we feel that there's a tremendous amount of value to be created by establishing connections where a brand or an employer can have a really intimate conversation where they recognize somebody's service with some sort of employment opportunity, skill training, discount, And so if you think about what we can do is, the point of sale systems get more advanced, linking a payment source to your verified account. If you're going through a brand like Home Depot, for instance, that has a military program, we envision a future where you swipe your card through that terminal and the cashier goes, you saved 10% off on your check today, and thank you so much for your service.
Wow. I mean, how hard would that be? And really, who's deserved that more than our veterans, right?
Yep.
So listen, I want to thank you for sharing your story today.
Absolutely, Tom.
And I want you to look in the camera and tell people how they can get a hold of you and learn more about TroopSwap.
Absolutely. So to learn more, you can visit TroopSwap.com, TroopSwap.com, or after Veterans Day, you can visit TroopID.com, TroopID.com. Verify your status, and then you'll be able to claim military and veteran benefits, provided you're eligible on our participating partner sites.
Viewers, let's make this happen. It's worthwhile.
Boom.
We really want to take a moment to share some data that we've been getting here at the conference. I mean, what better place to get the first-hand feedback, but from the place, the annual event, where the fastest growing companies in the country are located. Last year we did a survey here, a poll, so to speak, that was really revealing, asking, what's holding back these mega entrepreneurs from really doing the work that they're doing that's moving the economy forward. Well, we were back this year and we asked the same question, so we'd have some comparative analysis from year over last. And I want to do a quick rundown, hot off the presses from day 2 of getting these surveys. Number one answer, so the question was, what is the biggest impediment to the growth of your business? The answers we had were finding qualified people, sluggish economy, accessing capital, ability to penetrate global markets, regulatory uncertainty, and taxes. There's some familiar themes there, aren't there? Especially in this, election season. Well, the number one answer, statistically more than double the next closest, was finding qualified people. That is the biggest thing holding back the growth of the country's fastest growing companies. I don't know about the viewers out there, but if I were a policymaker, especially in an election year, trying to figure out how it is we're going to move that needle economically speaking, that would be an area where I'd be hitting it hard. The other sector I hope is listening, academia, 4-year, 2-year, community college. This is your chance to leapfrog and become relevant in this economy in a big way. So let's round out where the rest of the stats came in. Sluggish economy, no big surprise, came in at 21%. Rounding numbers here a little bit, finding qualified people was 46.5%, by the way. Sluggish economy, 21.1. Next one up, statistically speaking, accessing capital, 14.1. Obviously still a bit of the liquidity crunch that devastated the economy in 2008. We're still working through that. Regulatory uncertainty comes in next at 9.9. Okay, taxes did make it at a whopping 5.6% of respondents. So clearly not the big thing that everybody thinks it is, okay? And then finally, ability to penetrate global markets. All these evil countries that are keeping our stuff out, it's just not so. At least not according to the fastest growing companies in the country. So, not surprisingly, if access to people are, the big problem, how many people are you planning to hire in 2013? So here too, we have from 1 to 5 people, 33%. So clearly 1/3 of the Inc. 5,000 companies are going to hire at least 1 to 5 people. More than 20 people, which was the highest category we had, you're going to hire more than 20 people, a quarter, 25% of the companies participating in this survey said they're going to add more than 20 people. So I don't mean to beat a dead horse here with this, but again, put that back to the other problem. If I can't find them, I can't hire them, right? In the 11 to 20 bracket, we have 13.9% say that they're going to hire between 11 and 20, and from 6 to 10, 27.8. The next question is, and because it is a political year, we can't help but ask this question, the Affordable Care Act, or if you're of a different political persuasion, Obamacare, okay? So let's get real. Is it going to impact your business or not? Here too, I think surprising only because it seems so disconnected from all the political ad campaigns going out there. but a full 34.7% have no opinion. They neither care, agree or disagree that it's going to hurt or benefit. It's a non-issue for them. 34.7. In the disagree to strongly disagree, those that have a negative view, that is to say, we have 8.3 and 16.7, so about 25%. And then on the think it's beneficial and we're good with it, we have 22.2% and 18.1. So what is that? 30, 40, clearly 40%. So you got almost 35% saying it's a non-issue for them, and you've got 40% saying bring it. Okay? So if you're out there listening and you got a strong position on this, pay attention to what the real job creators are telling you. That's what matters. There's a related question that talks about how it's going to be beneficial to my business, and we get through all that. I've already touched on that. Let's talk about another area that's near and dear to the hearts of these folks here that are doing what they're doing to keep the economy going, and that is, how do they get funded? Where do they get the gas for the engine, so to speak? The numbers here aren't all that surprising, except for a couple that I'll point out. Personal savings, number one. That's the skin in the game, guys. That's what everybody's asking for. That's what everybody expects. 41.7% personal savings. Friends, family, what's often called friends, family, and fools. That's 15.3%. Revenue from sales, bootstrapping. Doing it because you're killing it. We've got 23.6% coming in on that category. Credit cards and other personal lines of business are chiming in at 8.3%. Bank loans, 6.9%. My friendly message to the bankers out there, do us all a favor and find that money you've got hidden under the pillow somewhere. We got to get some liquidity back into the marketplace here. Now, the thing I really like to point out is, angel investors are at 2.8%. Venture capital, 1.4%. And this is very consistent with our data. Now, I'm not anti-venture capital. We love capitalism and free market. Everything that goes associated with that. But when you think about the context of the public discourse, like what you hear about, what you see in the movies, the venture capital back play out, it's just not there. It's not there at the volume that people think it is. The real nuts and bolts, getting the job done in the economy, is a very tiny fraction of that comes from VC-funded companies. And again, that's not to cast aspersions on that at all. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just simply not the big chunk that people think it is. It's coming out of personal savings. It's coming out of bootstrapping the business. It's coming out of friends and family, credit cards, bank loans. It's getting that liquidity pump back into the market. That's the real gas that keeps the engines rolling, and we need to focus on that. The other kind of questions we ask really go to higher education. This is more long-term study questions we're asking. Nothing of real big interest there just yet, but I'll just say that about 3/4 of entrepreneurs we surveyed have some sort of post-secondary higher ed, and 1/4 do not. So not sure what that even means yet, but we'll keep tracking it and we'll let you know when we do. So that's it from here at this year 2012 Inc. 5000 conference. We had a chance to meet some really great people. We'll be throwing up interviews from time to time from those. And there's some data fresh from the conference itself. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you another time on Top of Mind.